Hello, gentlemen. It is your favorite commissioner back here for the weekly recap. And we are on, let's see here, I think week 6 recap. So that would mean that we are halfway through the regular season. It's going quick, boys. So let's see what happened this week. We had, honestly, I'm not even going to lie. I literally did not look at hardly any of this. I printed it off. I kind of saw who won, but I really didn't look at this. If you haven't noticed, I'm kind of tired. I haven't slept worth shit the last 2 nights. Excuse me. Shit. I think I'm still hungover. I don't know. Vegas will do that to a guy. Anyways, let's get into it. First matchup we have this week is between first and last place, which would be Nick and Dennis. Dennis in last place. Again, this is after this week. So Dennis is currently in 10th place. Nick is currently in first place. Nick barely beat out Dennis. He only beat him by 10 points. But again, as I say every week, Dennis got the weekly low score. Well, I don't say that every week. Dennis got the weekly low score, even though it seems like I say that every week. But what I always say is Nick happened to be playing the guy who got the weekly low score. So Nick didn't win. He just didn't lose. Let's look at the matchup. Nick had Pat Mahomes, 20 points. Alshon Jeffrey, 24 points. Devonta Freeman, 27 points. That's pretty good. Michael Thomas, 17, not too bad. He sacked Golden Tate, who had 22 points. So, 118 points isn't great by any means, but again, he didn't lose. Dennis did, however, because he had the lowest score of the week, and he is our first repeat offender, or I shouldn't say offender. I should say a winner of the weekly low score fee. So now he owes $10 into the kitty for next year's party / whatever else we're doing with all the money. He had Kyler Murray, 28 points, 29 points. You'd think that'd be pretty good, for your quarterback. Then his wide receivers did horse shit. He had Jordan Howard, which, Dennis, get over it. He's not going to get 3 touchdowns like he did a couple weeks ago. Average weeks out of everybody else on his team. He sat Baker Mayfield, which was the only other player that had 22 points, but since much to the chagrin of Nick, we are not doing the Superflex, so he could not start 2 quarterbacks. But Nick doesn't care because he won. So Nick 5-1 in first place. Dennis 1-5 and in dead last. Next matchup we have Perk and Nate. Let's see who won here. Perk won. Perk is 5-1 and in second place. Nate is 2-4 and in 7th place. And it looks like Perk beat Nate by about 14 points or so. 129 to 143 was the score. And, just looking at this kind of right off the bat, it looks like Nate would have had a pretty good chance of winning this week. He had Lamar Jackson, 31 points. Julian Edelman, 20 points against awful, who do they play, Giants team. Ezekiel Elliott, 26 points. But then, kicker, 1 point, which, whatever. Tight end Will Dissly, he tore his other ACL from last year. The only reason I know that is because he was on my Guillotine League, which I just got eliminated from. So that's awesome. Apparently having Odell Beckham, Adam Thielen, James Conner, who else do I have? Dalvin Cook, and Aaron Jones wasn't enough. Anyways, you guys don't care about that. So 129 points. Everybody else on his team did just average. He should have started Hunter Henry because, like I said, Dissly 0 points because he tore his ACL or whatever. Hunter Henry on his bench 30 points. That 30 points would have put him over the top and on top of Perk, which is I think where he likes it. Perk, honestly, again, like I said, Nate got 0 points, but out of his tight end, but so did Perk because he thought Evan Engram was going to play, which I'll give him a break because he was up in the boonies talking to Leather Lips. Nobody gets that joke. And Evan Engram also got 0 points. They were in Town grouse hunting for 24 hours, which is a 5-hour drive each way. Smart move on their part. And I'm assuming Perk didn't see the news that Evan Engram was out. Anyways, 0 points out of his tight end. But he started Stephon Diggs, who I'm sure you all heard had a very good day. 44 points. Nick Chubb, 29 points. Basically, those two players right there did it in for him. So again, Perk second place, 5-1. Nate last team out of the playoffs if they started today at 2-4 and in 7th. Next, we have the matchup between Matt and Corey. And, I mean, just kind of looking at this right away, before we even get into who won, both of these teams are in the playoffs. I mean, think about that. Corey Friedrich and Matt Novak are in the playoffs. The rest of us are doing something wrong here. Like, that's just does not compute. You know, if Father was in the playoffs now, then I'd say we have to, like, really figure something out. But, you know, it is kind of weird. Anyways, back to the matchup. Matt won and Corey lost. So they are both at 300. Oh my God, 3-3 at 500, 5th and 6th place respectively. Let's look at the matchup. Russell Wilson, 29 points. You know, basically got a front runner for MVP on his team, so that's good. Tyreek Hill, who came back for the first time this week, 25 points. That was kind of a surprise. Duke Johnson had 28.2 points. That's usually my boy, but I didn't draft him this year. But hey, 28 points out of Duke Johnson is always good. Nothing else really to speak of. Let's look at Corey's team. Too many tight ends. His tight end did not very good. And his other tight end was on a bye. So this week he did not have enough tight ends. Carson Wentz, 21 points. That was about it. He had Brandon Cook, 6 points. Joe Mixon, 5 points. Chris Thompson, 4 points. D.D. Westbrook, 8 points. Oh, no. God damn it. I fucking hate this. New England, 30 points on the defense. Again, I said he was stupid for paying $4 on free agency to get him. It was not. But it also was not enough to win this week. So whatever. Moot point, I think, is called. Next matchup, Mitch and Brandon, and looks like Mitch won this week. Nicely done, Mitch. Mitch 4-2 and in 3rd place. Brandon, same record and in 4th place. Matchup was 131 to 139, so Mitch won by about 8 points. Let's look at the matchup here. Brandon started Gardner Minshew, which, I mean, okay, fair. You know, I think I didn't get to watch ESPN Fantasy Football Weekly, whatever. You know, where Brandon talks to his, you know, co-team owners. But I'm assuming they told him to start Gardner Minshew over Drew Brees. I mean, I guess you're not going to start Drew Brees. I'm not even sure why he rosters Drew Brees. I mean, Teddy Bridgewater's killing it, dude. Go get Teddy. But yeah, should have been a shootout. It wasn't. 5 points out of his quarterback. 17 points out of Adam Thielen. 13 points out of Alvin Kamara, which was actually pretty good for his pregame diagnosis. Austin Hooper, 25 points. James Conner, 31 points. Not bad. 21 points out of his defense from Carolina. Yeah, but, you know, Field Yates and Stefania, whatever the fucker twat is, and whoever else, they didn't come through for Brandon, for their team this week, as Mitch kind of whooped up on him a little bit. 31 points out of Deshaun Watson. 25 points out of Chris Godwin. 21 points out of Christian McCaffrey. Overall good week. Sat Robbie Anderson, who had 24 points, but again, nobody's going to start Robbie Anderson. But yeah, I mean, overall, a solid matchup between two teams in the playoffs if they started today. Yeah, we'll leave it at that. And let's go to the matchup of the week. And this week we have, okay. So myself and Don are in the matchup of the week this week. That's kind of cool. Come on, Connie. Trying to do a video here. She's texting me about shit. Kind of a matchup of two shitty teams, but, you know, I won. Well, let's just get that out of the way. 145 points. Did I have the most points this week? Felicity Huffman's going to prison or something. That ain't good. Thanks, Fox News. I did have the most points this week. Well, that's kind of cool. I think that's 2 weeks in a row now. 2 wins in a row, 2 weeks in a row, highest score. Boys, objects in mirror, closer than they appear. We're coming for you. Blah, blah, blah. Other puns. Let's look at it. 145 to 113. I beat Don. So I beat him by like 30 points or something like that. 28. 31 points on my quarterback, Matt Ryan. 2 points out of my number one wide receiver, Juju Smith-Schuster. Awful. 26 points out of Chris Carson. Father, you should have traded me for Saquon Barkley, who still hasn't played since you denied that trade. Chris Carson's been killing it. You fucked up. Sorry. Double-digit points out of all my other players. Nothing super exciting, but hey, 145 points. Apparently that's enough for first place, or highest score this week. Don, 23 points out of Tom Brady, 21 points out of Mike Evans, finally. 3 points out of his tight end, 2 points out of Amari Cooper. He sat, is it Terry McLaughlin, or that wide receiver for Washington? He had 26 points. Don should have started him over Amari Cooper. Duh, obvious move. But anyways, I am 2-4, and I'm still holding on to 8th place, the coveted 8th place, as we all know. Don is 1 spot above Dennis and in 9th place. So like I said, we're halfway through the season. I kind of feel like at this point there's really not a whole lot to discuss. Once we start getting closer to playoffs, we'll kind of start watching on who's going to start wrapping up spots. Nobody, I think the best record is 5-1. So nobody's officially eliminated or officially in yet. So everybody keeps scouring the waiver wire. I see that Perk has yet to make a single move, which, I mean, I don't know. You'd think for his shitty team he'd go get somebody. And Corey, leading into that, Corey's made a ton of moves, and he's still a shitty team. So, at least save your money for something else. But yeah, I got nothing else. So good luck this week. I don't know who I face this week, but I apologize for the ass whooping you're about to receive. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. That's all I got. See you.